Hello there, my name is Gavin Walsh and today is Wednesday, September 24, 2025. And I'd like to talk to you about President Trump's address at the United Nations conference in New York yesterday. I believe it was their 80th anniversary, and boy did he give some speech. A lot of people that I'm watching online have called it a riveting speech. Of course, Mr. Trump is quite a polarizing character, as we know. So you either love him or loathe him, and I think a lot of the opinions are right on either side. But it was some speech, and he touched on typical Trumpism. He touched on topics that very few others were touching. In fact, probably nobody, and certainly nobody in the White House of his predecessors, be they on either side of the divide. He even had a big dig at the United Nations, the very body itself. But if you watch the speech, and I played it in the background, I had some work to do, but I listened to it at the same time, and occasionally I thumbed over, I flipped over and back when he come out with something, I, me, my. But and mind you, he didn't do that many of them. I thought to be quite a few, and I think there was 3 or 4 in it. But in any event, he touched on topics that most political, in fact, as I said, no political leader of his stature would touch on. He touched on the recent mass immigration we're all witnessing. And he also touched on climate change, global warming, global cooling, whatever the hell it's called. And of course, this is something that I have been doing recent research on. And I'm flabbergasted that so many eloquent scientists have made predictions, and virtually every single one of them, in fact, if not all of them, have turned out to be nonsense. And this has gone on under the guides of science, and the science has been proven, as President Obama famously said. But everything that's been predicted is turning out not to happen, and that leaves somebody like me that I regard myself in the middle ground, scratching your head and saying, "What's going on?" So I put together a short little video of and I've only picked 5. I've picked 5 pretty much random, and you can do this yourself on a Google search. I've picked about 5 random events that were predicted as disasters, and these are all public information things, so it's beyond me how these people don't come back, or the mainstream media don't go after and say, hang on, well, on such and such you said this, and the complete opposite happened. But I picked 5, and I can assure you, I could, if I went researching, I'd find not only 55, I'd find 555. There's hundreds of them out there, and it does ask the question, what is going on with all these claims that are coming out? And of course, President Trump has opened up a monster can of worms. Not that anyone who hates him will take him serious, but he's left a lot of questions to be answered. And he called out global warming to be the greatest con job ever committed on the world, or I guess on the human race. They're staggering words. I mean, if you think of it in about 100 or 200 years' time, assuming we're all alive and we haven't all are coming beyond us hasn't all drowned with all these rising sea levels, people will look back at a 2-minute excerpt from this speech and say, God, that guy got it right, you know. And it was typical Trump speech, funny in parts, of course, as usual, and not so funny in other parts. But he also did a U-turn on his assumptions with Ukraine. He talked about his seven peace deals, and of course the 2 biggest ones that he desperately needs still loom, that of Gaza and the Ukraine. If you've listened to the speech, I'm sure you will have found it to be very profound, and indeed I would go so far as to say provocative. Now, that it's typical Trumpism. But so anyway, enjoy the few little clips I put together, and if you're going to comment, as always, please keep your comments respectful. Okay, peace, everybody. Cheers.
This climate change, it's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world. It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world.
The entire North Polar ice cap during some of the summer months could be completely ice-free within the next 5 to 7 years.
7 years ago, in a real inconvenient truth, former Vice President Al Gore once famously claimed the North Pole ice cap would be ice-free by now. due to climate change. But scientists say the ice cap has actually expanded and is now twice the size of Alaska.
It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world.
Coastlines that vanish, oceans that rise. This is the future we must avert. This is the global threat of our time.
It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world.
We know the sea level rise predicted to occur by the end of the century. We learned this just a week ago. That sea level rise will now happen in the next 30 years, not at the end of the century.
It's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world.
I admire your optimism, but you start to look at the science, look at what's going on in the Antarctic, and scientists saying that there are sections of ice that guarantee 4 to 6 meters of ocean level rise, which will be catastrophic for the future. You are the leader of the free world. You have access to information that most people do not. What makes you terrified for the future?
A huge portion of the world's population lives near ocean.